Hi guys! So I just did a video showing the Arteza Gray Everblend markers. So I just wanted to do a quick video of me stamping out an image and coloring it in. I found something pretty simple. And I wanted to kind of use some of those gray markers and see what we can get. So I have this beautiful new stamp to me. This is from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. This is the Sorrowful Pup. And it has this cute puppy, and it kind of reminds me of a puppy that would be begging for a treat. But there's two sentiments, and it says missing you and I'm so sorry. They are separate sentiments. These are cling red rubber stamps. I will link these for you. They are at BlueKnightRubberStamps.com. BlueKnightStamps.com. But I'm going to stamp this little pup out, and let's color him in with some of these markers. So I'm using some Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth paper here. I think I am going to cut it down. This is a pretty big stamp. I'm going to grab a big stamp block. Actually, I'm going to grab my little mini Misty to do this one. Let me move some of these markers out of the way here. I have markers all over the desk. If you didn't catch that video, I'll link it for you guys at the end. But I just basically swatched the markers out and couldn't stop raving about them. All right, so I'm going to cut this down to 5 by 3 3/4. Alright, so I have 2 panels here just in case I mess one up. We'll grab our mini Misty. And because this is a red rubber cling stamp, you want to take out your foam piece, your foam insert. And I have a little piece of that Sizzix double-sided tape down. And we're just going to stamp our little buddy down right here. The ink that I'm going to use is the Brutus Monroe Raven ink. I really like this ink. It's really good for either watercoloring or for alcohol ink coloring. And you can get a refill for it. And it's a small 2 by 2 square, so it's really easy to carry, take with you, hold on to. It's not too big or cumbersome. That's stamped out pretty good. I'm going to leave that alone. Normally I feel like I have to stamp twice, but that looks great. So we're going to move this aside. Alright, I'm going to zoom the camera down a little bit so you guys can see my coloring. Or not. There we go. Alright, let's see how we do here. Now I always like to keep that backer board up so that I can see what kind of colors the artist used on these. And that's, I say this all the time about Blue Knight Rubber Stamps, is how easy it is to color their stamps. So I have the grays on the desk here because I just swatched them out. So it's a set of 36 gray tones. And I have my swatch book out here so I can see which one were the warm grays. So warm grays have kind of this brown undertone to them. So I want to look and focus kind of on these colors, the color our puppy. So he's going to be like a warmish gray color. And I did kind of label on my trays here. I put warm grays on there. All right, so first thing I want to do actually is start with our ground, which is kind of a green grassy ground. So I'm going to open up my little Everblend marker handy dandy little case here. And I know you guys won't be able to see it because it's off camera, but I'll have those markers open and available to me. And I'll try to remember to tell you guys the names of the colors. So I'm going to start off with a lighter green here. This is olive green. And it's actually a little darker than I wanted, but that's okay. We can always blend it out. And someone had asked about, bleed through with these markers. Well, anytime you use alcohol markers, you're going to have bleed through. That's okay. You want it to bleed through the back of your paper. What you don't want is for it to bleed outside of your stamped lines, which is why you want to have a good stamping ink and a good paper. So these two, the ink and the paper that I'm using, are designed to hold up to alcohol markers. If you use a different kind of paper or a different kind of ink, what could happen is your ink could bleed and your markers could bleed. And if you use a different kind of paper, you could have the same kind of problem. So do recommend looking into good good paper and good ink for your stamped images. And for those of you familiar with my channel, I am not great at coloring. I just don't do very well at it. I try. So I think, when you just practice coloring, practice blending, but using the right paper and the right ink is half the battle, because they will make it look like you know what you're doing. Once there's a mistake, that's when people start to pick stuff apart. So the way to avoid some of these mistakes is by using the right materials. Oh, that was called pale green. Now I'm going to go into some lime green. And I'm just kind of tucking in different colors here. Or maybe that was lime green. No, this is definitely a lighter green. All right, I'm going to leave that go for now. All right, let's do our little dog's collar. Do a little blue for his collar. This is called Sapphire Blue. And I think I want to do kind of a golden yellow on his tag here. This one's called Tuscan Sun. All right, let's get into coloring him a little bit. I want to start with a lighter warm gray. This is called Pearl. It's A751. And I'm going to kind of make that his base layer. And again, because this is a warm gray, it's really like a brown that has tint of gray to it. And I'm going to put this down as his base layer. Like, this is going to be his fur, and then we'll darken it up as we add more. Not being super particular about how I'm coloring here, just want to get this base layer of color down. How these markers work well is the more layers you have, the easier it is for them to blend. The less brush strokes you're going to have, it's going to look a lot better. So I always put some kind of a base layer down for my colors before I get in and start really blending and mixing colors. And like I said, not real particular about how I'm laying this color down, just putting it down. Now, if you happen to go outside of the lines, if your ink starts to smudge, You want to try drying your ink. Again, if you're using any of those 3 inks, Memento or Spectrum Noir Finesse or the Brutus Monroe, those inks are all designed to work pretty well with alcohol inks, but I know there's some other inks out on the market. You want to make sure that you heat set or dry that ink before you go in with your marker. So if your ink is smearing when the marker touches it, then it's probably not good for alcohol markers. Now, if you go outside of the line or you see that there's a lot of bleeding, you might want to check your paper. That means your paper is accepting the ink, but it's not locking the ink in, and so the ink is kind of running out everywhere. Now, if it does it every once in a, every other spot or so, you can clean that up with a colorless blender. All the colorless blender does is it dilutes the color. It doesn't erase it. It just dilutes the color. So any place that you kind of messed up or went outside the line or you need it to be lighter, the colorless blender will kind of dilute the color and move it away. So it doesn't erase it. There's no magic cure, unfortunately, for alcohol markers. Once that ink is down, it's going to be there. All right, now we're going to go in with our next color, which is 752, which is called Stone Gray, which is a little bit darker. And anywhere that I see kind of like shadows, and anywhere that the artist drew where he should be darker, I'm going to go in and add this darker gray. And again, not being really fussy with where I'm putting this color down. Just kind of short strokes. Where I think that should go. Now at this point, a lot of artists would go in and start blending by going back in with the original color. Because these colors are so similar, they're really not that far off. I'm not going to blend yet. I'll come back in and blend in a moment. Okay, so you can start to see now how these colors complement each other. They're starting to get a little darker. So you got it. I'm going to go in with the next color, which is 753, which is still a warm gray. We're getting a shade darker. I love that all of these grays come in the set together. They're all numbered. Once you swatch them out, you can definitely see how close they are in color tone. So again, going back over those dark spots, real short strokes here, just kind of really want it to look like dog fur. Cute. All right, for our little dandelion, I don't know that should be yellow. I think it should be gray. I'm going to grab A639, which is a little bit of a neutral gray. And then we have jungle green. We have some little 4-leaf clovers here. I hope I'm not putting my head in the way. Okay, some of that in there. It's called Sage Green. A really light gray with some green undertones to it. It's kind of filling in, blending all of our grass here. All right, and where our 4-leaf clovers are, because they are so bright, I'm going to go back in with some green tea and kind of blend those out a little bit. Okay. A little dandelion over here. All right, and I want to go back in and just darken our dog up again. So I'm going to go back in with the original color, which was the first one, which was A751. And now I'm blending all of those colors in. He's so cute. And I think I want to go just a smidgen darker. Let's go to 754. Just a little darker. Okay, there we go. So simple to do, easy to shade, easy to color in. There we go. And then, like I said, anywhere, like right outside the paw here, I have a little bit of ink that came out. We're just going to use the colorless blender and rub over that. And what it will do is dilute the ink, move it out of the way. Any place you feel like you didn't do well enough with the shading, go in with the lighter color and color over it, and it will soften those lines so that your shading looks a lot better. Now for the dark area on his nose and his eyes, I'm going to use a black Jelly Roll pen. right, and there we go. Then I'll just stamp the sentiment on there. Again, the stamp set comes with 2 sentiments, missing you or I'm so sorry. I will link everything down below for you, the stamp set and the markers, but I really wanted to showcase to you guys how versatile these markers were. I know we're always looking for a budget solution, and I never ever have a complaint about the Arteza products. Their colors are always nice and vibrant, and you can see here that it did bleed through in some areas. There's not a whole bunch of bleed through. But that just shows the quality of the paper. It's okay, again, if it does bleed through. You just want to make sure that your stamp, your ink, your paper all holds up to these markers, which they do. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, post them down below. As always, I appreciate your thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.